And welcome back to another episode of the Press Star Podcast. This is episode number 47, and I'm Vic, aka MrNeverChillin. Of course, I'm joined by none other than my co-host, Lunatic Oblivion.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. It's another wonderful Sunday here. We got to play Tiny Tina's yet again this morning. Um, how are you, Vic?
I'm pretty good, man. Nothing to complain here. Just work and ready for this baby to get here. Been trying to play some games here and there. But what about
Yeah.
yourself?
Same old, pretty much. Just been working and playing some games. I almost completed a Game Pass game. I'm kind of struggling through it because I want to beat it. I've already invested 20 hours into it, but I'm like, this game isn't very good. So, lately I've been kind of coming across Game Pass is that place where you can find some really good games, just AAA great games, or just like some indie studio who's like, here, I'm glad you didn't buy our game on Steam.
For sure. But speaking about a game that is really good, Tiny Tina's, what did you think about our playthrough from today?
Well, today I thought it was quite interesting. We got to fight two bosses today.
Yeah.
We fought the not so big skeleton. And then we also fought a mechanical dragon, which was just a dude inside a mechanical dragon. So I thought they were pretty interesting boss fights. I really like that some of these side zones that, we can choose to go to or we can choose to completely skip. I
Hmm.
like that these side zones are they're flushed out. They don't feel tacked on. The content feels authentic. It doesn't feel like forced Borderlands content where you have to go visit locations that have been there 30, 40 times and they're just like go there again, do it again.
Yeah.
It gets tedious, I think, with Borderlands games, but I think this one has kind of finally broken the cycle of some of its bad habits.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just the combat continues to feel great, and just the different spells and abilities that we keep unlocking and equipping and stuff like that. I'm just like, all right, cool. And there's some of them I'm like, man, this is garbage. Same thing with guns. I'm like, oh, this gun looks like it should do really well. The stats are like, oh, high in damage, and I'm using. It. I'm like, yeah, this is garbage. Like this belongs in the dumpster. And then I pick up, I equip a green, and I'm like, yo, this shit OP. So it's definitely interesting to find the different gems that are
No, I
there.
agree. It is definitely an interesting way to play through the game. As I was saying to Jordan earlier today, I was like, it really all depends on once you equip the gun, do you really like what you're doing? Do you
Hmm.
like how it feels, how it plays? Maybe your gun instead of reloading turns into an animal or turns into a freaking dragon and starts becoming a shotgun dragon.
Right.
Or do you like that you shoot a rocket launcher that has hearts that shoot into smaller hearts? Like some of it's really cool. Some of the ways they do some of these gimmicky guns is great. And then other times you just get guns that are eh.
Yeah. I liked yours though that when you reload it like it's like a tornado that shoots knives out. So that was
I was
pretty
a
cool.
fan of knives. I thought that was amazing. Also, the gun shoots a laser beam, so I can across the map shoot a tracing laser beam to a person. So I think that's really cool. Honestly, I think this game did it right for once. Instead of feeling like copy pasted for a lot of the content,
Right.
they really took the time to try and make sure that each gun, each spell, things felt unique. And when you finally got them again, they sometimes would change.
Right.
Like the details about them felt different, felt new, interesting, unique.
Right. And I think what also helps out with the gameplay is like the switch between like the real world and then like the overworld when you're like those miniature figures running around the map. I think
Yeah.
that definitely helps out with the pace and it gives you a chance to like take a step back. All right, cool. I'm not in this intense combat for 30, 40 minutes and I'm like, okay, all right, time to relax. Let's go solve some puzzles or whatever. And then we get into our next encounter and then it's just always it's a nice to mix it up, changes speeds for sure.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
What else have you been playing over the last week or so?
So I've been playing Astria Rising, or Astria Ascending, which is a Game Pass game that I found. It's been kind of okay so far. It's definitely a different change of pace from what I'm typically accustomed to. It
Hmm.
feels like sort of a different version on the whole Final Fantasy style gameplay.
Right.
I've been enjoying it, but It's the game that I've already sunk 20 hours into, and if I could, I would just end it now, but I want to at least beat the game and see how it ends.
Right, and one of those that's a Japanese JRPG, so that's pretty cool to see that on Game Pass. They've been trying to add to it for sure.
No, definitely. I'm not even sure if Astria Ascending is made by a Japanese studio. I actually think it's made by a studio that's in the US, so
Yeah, it's made by
but
the
it's
Artisan
yeah.
Studios or whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure. They're known for that game and then Super Neptunia RPG from 2018. So they don't really have
hmm
too much in their portfolio right now.
Yeah, it's a small indie studio, so we'll see where they go. But I've also been playing 7 Days to Die, which is a game that has been in early access or, in this case now, game preview since 2014, I think. So it's a zombie game that kind of feels like a really good take on whole how Minecraft, you can build in blocks and,
Hmm.
it's all block-based building, but every block can be positioned into something new and unique. So I think it's pretty interesting for a game.
Yeah.
But
It, and
it's
it,
nothing to write home about. It's just been a nice sort of brain off kind of game.
right. Yeah, I know a bunch of our friends are playing it right now, and it's interesting here. I'm looking it up. It was actually done on the Unity engine, and that's
hmm
interesting. I didn't expect that kind of game to be done on that for sure. Because that's the
So what about
one. I think one of the Assassin's Creed uses that, and I forget what other games use it.
so what have you been up to playing?
I actually checked back into Tunic, and Tunic's been really fun and whatnot, but those boss battles, like the combat is cool. Like I'm not in for the whole super challenging part. So when I've been getting the boss battles and I die like 3 or 4 times, I go into the accessibility options and turn on the no fail mode, and you can call me whatever you want. But I'm just trying to play through and beat it so I can add to my portfolio of games beaten, so I can review them for shoot to win. And it's just like I don't have time to sit there and die over and over and over. And like when I put the no fail mode on and I all I can do is just stand there and just hit them the whole time without having to dodge, without having to do anything, the battles still feel really long and I can't fail. And I'm just like, I couldn't imagine doing this if I had to worry about health and taking some other magic potions and all that other stuff. Like that would just be really drawn out for something that doesn't need to be that long. It's like the enemies like in the world are like easy to kill. You're like one, two, maybe three tapping them, but like the boss battles, you got to hit them like 300 times. Like there, I think the discrepancy is pretty fucked up. I don't think they need to be bullet sponges in a sense. That's just my take on
Yeah,
it.
there were times where it felt that way, but for the most part, once you found a weak spot, it didn't feel too bad about Tunic. Like, I beat it. The only boss that I had struggled with that took me more than one or two attempts was the final boss. And don't get me wrong, that boss, the difficulty was exponentially worse than
Hmm.
any other fight.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's fun. I think right now it's on pace to be like a 7 out of 10. I think it's nothing too great. It's not a bad game. It's fun. The story's touching, even
Mhm.
though there's no voice acting in the game at all. So it's pretty cool. I enjoy it. I want to beat it. So it'll probably get beaten this week.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Excellent.
other than that, yeah, I haven't really been playing anything. I've been actually put in the Shoot the Wins game chat that I want to start playing some multiplayer games at night, like 9:30, 10 o'clock ish. Hop in for a couple matches, whether it be Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex, PUBG, Halo. I told them I was like, hey, I'm just gonna hop on. I'm like, yo, anybody want to play? All right, cool. We're hopping into this game tonight. Couple matches, cool, and then we're good. And if I don't get any responses, I'm going to a single player game.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I feel that. Lately, I want to get into some more Valorant. Tuesdays I've been spending playing Demon Souls now, so I'll be streaming that on my channel every Tuesday. But the Tuesdays that I don't have it, I'll probably be playing something else. But I definitely want to get through this battle pass on Valorant, and maybe also pick up another game to play on the side. I'd still like to go back and play what was it? Rainbow Six Extraction.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I definitely want to go back to that for sure. And we also gotta still beat Dying Light 2 whenever we get a chance.
Yeah, Dying Light 2 felt like one of those games where like I was starting to have fun, but it was just mostly because we cheese things and that was silly.
Yeah, well, and we got to make the best of it, right? In our situation.
Exactly. So, without further ado, let's talk about the game releases of this week and get into the actual meat of our show. So, we've got about 5 games here that coming out this week. So we've got Uden Chronicles Rising. So this is the first of a two-part game that they're going to be releasing. The first is May 10th, and then the second is going to be next year, I believe, for the second part of the story. It's a JRPG that's going to be on Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC.
Game
Next,
Pass,
we've got Salt.
Game Pass Day One.
That's true. It is Game Pass Day One, and it's a JRPG, so it'll be definitely an interesting game to pick up and see. Next, we've got Salt and Sacrifice. This comes out also on May 10th for PS5, PS4, and PC, which is interesting now. We're starting to see these games that are only going to be on PlayStation coming to PC as well.
Yeah, that's
Next,
definitely
we've
interesting.
got This War of Mine, The Final Cut. This is coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S on May 10th. We've got Unpacking. Unpacking comes out on the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 on May 10th. And then the last game we have, which we've talked about actually previously, which was Evil Dead, the game. This comes out on the PS5, XNS, 4, Xbox One, Switch, and the PC on May 13th.
Yeah, that game looks like it's doing really well. Like a lot of reviewers that got it early have been saying it looks good. It's fun. Just one of those like survival games with the whole
It's
like four
casual.
v. It's like a 4v1 or whatever it is. So it's pretty
Hmm.
cool. Unpacking is already on Xbox right now, and it's actually on Game Pass. It's a super casual game that you literally turn your mind off, and you're literally, as the title says, just unpacking boxes for like your house and stuff. So I was just like,
Hmm.
I can't believe there's a game for everything. But this War of Mine Final Cut looks pretty cool actually. I actually may check this out. I like the aesthetic that's going on here.
Hmm.
Any of these games stick out to you?
Since Euden Chronicles Rising, if it is coming to Game Pass day one, for me, that's, since it launches day one, not if, since it is, I think I might give this a go. It kind of feels reminiscent of, I would say Mana Chronicles, Chronicles of Mana,
Mm-hmm.
which is early Final Fantasy, but now looks more, it's got almost like a triangle strategy style graphics where it's that sort of almost 2D flat art or that kind of storybook style art in some places. So the battles seem different, unique, interesting. So I might give that a try myself because because it's going to be free.
Right. Yeah. I definitely like. I was actually excited to see this one come to the Game Pass because it's just another one of those JRPGs that's going to attract that market. That's
Mhm.
going to be like, hey, I want to check this game out. I don't want to spend 50, 60, $70 on a game. I can just check it out for free, see if it's even worth my time or money, and then boom, you find out. All right, I like it, or nope, I don't want to play it no more. Delete off the hard drive. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense. And also, this game should hopefully be relatively cheap from what I was seeing here. It's only going to be like $15, it said,
Oh, okay.
which,
Yeah,
or
I
that
was I
I may
wasn't too
have been
familiar with
reading
the
something
pricing.
else. Oh, sorry, no, Game Pass. You know, more specifically, yeah. So the prequel to this game will hit consoles and everything later. So this is the actual sequel to the original game, I guess, which was the Euden Chronicles 100 Heroes,
Hmm.
which is the game that will come out next year.
Interesting.
So you can play the main game and then you can play the prequel, which has already been out, I assume.
Right.
So um, let's talk about the industry for a moment here. So, we've got a few different news articles here from Blizzard, Netflix, Sony slash Bungie, and also the Summer Game Fest. So, starting with Activision Blizzard here, New York City has actually filed a lawsuit against Activision Blizzard. In the lawsuit, they say Bobby Kotick is unfit to negotiate the buyout for Microsoft from Microsoft.
Yeah, it's just add more fuel to the fire that's been going on. It's I don't think this fire is going out anytime soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if more lawsuits come down because everyone's starting to realize this guy what he's been doing in that if with that company has been really awful, and just the way that
Mhm.
people have been treated and just used is just all around just awful. And I hope
It's bad news.
yeah, I hope this man gets taken down and just wiped clean.
Yeah, they need to start fresh, it seems, at this point. So I think they'll be able to start fresh with getting rid of Bobby.
Yeah,
It seems like Bobby's direction, the things he's done is essentially pretty much swept everything under the rug. At this
yeah,
point, he's the one at the top of the company. When you're in these positions, if you allow things to happen, it is your fault. That's the thing.
yeah.
People say like, management will take the fall for issues that happen for the direction of a company. This guy is clearly not taking the fault for the direction of this company. He's not taking blame, and these people need to do that. They need to be held accountable.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better.
But we have some interesting news from Blizzard, Activision Blizzard. The new Call of Duty, I believe it's the new Call of Duty that's in production, will have 3,000 people working on it.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the new one coming out alongside with Warzone 2, but I think currently on all Call of Duties they have a collective of 3,000 people working on it. This is just too much. And for them to have 3,000 people but still put out shit content, shit updates, can't get a hold of their game, can't get a
It's
hold of
it's
nothing.
an
It's
issue with
sad.
management.
Yeah,
It's
so
management.
something's wrong. And a lot of these people don't even need to be working on Call of Duty. There's a lot of developers that are working on Call of Duty that once made games back in the day and they've made a lot of gems that need to be let go again. Like let them have creative freedom and let them create what they want to create and not what Activision Blizzard wants. And that's
Yeah,
what I like.
and exactly, and talking about what people want to create versus what Activision Blizzard is creating, people want to make good Call of Duty games. Don't get me wrong, there are people there who feel passionate about what they do,
Hmm.
but like, the reports are saying people were Vanguard is underperforming due to World War II setting. Duh.
Yeah.
Why haven't we listened to the community? It's getting a little obnoxious that they're unwilling to listen to their community. People have said over and over and over again, this is not what we want.
Right.
This is not the game we want.
I mean, we said it back when World War II came out. Call of Duty World War II came out. It flopped. It was awful by
Yeah,
Sledgehammer Games. And then when Battlefield came out with like when they went back to World War One and World War II at back-to-back games, they flopped because no one wants that setting in a shooter anymore. Like not your top-notch shooter. Like that's not what we want. We want that modern day, maybe near future kind of shooter. Um,
yeah,
and with Vanguard, like I don't understand how Sledgehammer really went from making World War II and then went to making Vanguard because they was like, did they just not learn? And apparently their next
yeah.
one in production is supposed to be World War II as well. Like they got to learn eventually. They got to. There's no way that you're going to keep doing and end up with the same results. Like that's definition of insanity. Come on, guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so this is something we've been dealing with for a while now. I think once Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, we're definitely going to see a change in direction, maybe a change in staffing, management.
Hmm.
So hopefully this should help resolve some of those issues.
Right. I mean, we already seen that they're supposed to be skipping out a year for Call of Duty. So when Modern Warfare 2
Mhm.
comes out this year, 2023 will not have a new Call of Duty. So that'll be a huge shakeup. It's never happened.
No, yeah, definitely. And so let's talk about somebody who is actually is having a harder time, I guess. Netflix is being sued by their own shareholders over the subscriber slump.
Yeah. This is,
Yeah.
I
So
mean, this is probably just going off of what we talked about last week or the last couple of weeks where they lost X amount of subscribers and they're probably going to lose more with the whole like you can't share your password and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to lose a lot more and the shareholders are not happy because like obviously what we saw in 2019 when Netflix was okay with this and supporting of sharing passwords and they loved every bit of that and now they're going against it. Their shareholders are like, bro, you can't do that. You can't turn your
yeah.
back on your consumer.
Well, and not only that, it's just direction, as we've said again. Direction is a huge part of how a company succeeds or fails in this market, and this
Yeah.
company is clearly not moving in the right direction. They care only about trying to maximize profits by nickel and diming, and by nickel and diming, they're offending their customers, and their customers are walking away. Because at this point, Netflix is probably one of the weakest of the streaming platforms. I think, you've got HBO Max, Hulu, these are stronger players in the
Hmm.
market. Netflix, their content is really held up by, Sploosherton, and some of these other, you know, clickbaity shows, really. Bridgerton is one of the things that's only really keeping them going. It's their buzz. But like Amazon, they have some really good shows too. These people are generating their own content.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So we'll just see how that definitely goes. But some more legality issues that's going on in the industry. Sony and Bungie's ordeal is actually being investigated by the FTC. They're launching an inquiry into the acquisition. So I don't see this really blooming into too much. I think they're just doing their due diligence. Like if they're going to look into Microsoft deals, like they want to look into
They
Sony's
should,
deals.
yeah,
They're just trying to make it
they
fair
need to
across
look
the
in
board.
everyone.
Right. They just should
Exactly.
monitor that stuff. Like obviously some of these companies have bad things going on with them. So you want to be able to look into this and make sure that you can uncover some of the shady stuff that's getting swept under the rug.
No, definitely. And so let's talk about here the last thing, the cool thing coming up next month, May, June, yeah.
Yeah.
So next month, June 9th, we have Summer Games Fest. It is going to be one of the biggest game shows for the
hmm
season, I guess,
Yep.
at this point. Yeah, it's
It's
going to be
Jeff
this summer.
Keighley. It's Jeff Keighley's show. It's the guy who runs the Game Awards. It's his yearly event in the summertime, and with E3 gone, not happening this year,
Mhm.
looks like he filled the shoes just great, and he'll probably do it way better than E3 has ever done. And then
Well,
Micro
yeah,
and
E3 at this point is kind of stretching itself out where Jeff Keighley is going to be able to do a better job
right.
within his more confined space. I think he's going to be more, I think, better at presenting the information because E3 is kind of very gimmicky lately. It's
hmm
very much like we're gonna reach it's community driven content 50% of the time, it feels like.
Right. The issue with E3 that has the community really scratching their head is like last year when they canceled it, they went to all digital. Like, all right, cool, we can't have an in-person event because of COVID. This year comes around, they're like, yeah, we can't have an in-person event because of COVID. And then they come out, they're like, yeah, we're not having a digital event either. And we're like, why?
Why?
Like,
Yeah.
you can't blame it on COVID. Like, you can clearly have a digital event. That's not an issue.
Yeah, it's
But with
just
the success of PAX East and Gamescom over the last couple of months, clearly shows that in-person events can happen and very much succeed. So it's just like, yeah, E3,
it's the direction. Yet again, it's
it's
direction that people aren't doing their job.
yeah,
People are like, "Oh, we they're riding off of their previous hype,
yeah, for sure.
That's why a lot of these things aren't still out there. We still don't have, the game network anymore where people watched, TV to watch about video games or talk about video games.
Well, they
You
do
know,
now. They just brought back G4 to
yeah,
TV, so they got that game stuff going on back on TV. Thankfully,
but you have to kind of move with the times is what I mean.
right, for sure. And then but that I mean honestly, it's going to be an exciting weekend though, the 9th through the 12th at least, because you
Mhm.
got Microsoft's event on that Sunday on the 12th. So
Yep.
that's going to be a big week for gaming. I'm excited to cover it and see all make some predictions and then cover what actually comes out and gets announced. So I'm excited.
Mhm. No, no, I'm definitely excited to see what's going to be coming out because we're hopefully going to see a release date for things like Starfield,
We already
and
know
just
Starfield's
some.
release date.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, 11/11/22.
11/11. That's
Yeah, they
right.
announced it in the earlier last year.
Okay, I couldn't remember. But we're gonna see probably a bunch of other games that we're expecting to see. Maybe we'll get finally some Halo news. Where are we going with the story? Because Infinite has kind of stalled out at this point.
Yeah, Halo's another conversation for another day for sure because there's just so much going on with that right now. I was listening to a lot of podcasts and they actually had a couple developers on the podcast talking about it, and they're dealing with some issues for sure.
Hmm.
But let's move on here to our gaming news, the big chunk here. We're gonna circle back here to Netflix. They added Relic Hunters Rebels. It's a sci-fi RPG to their catalog. This is, I guess, one of their 50 games that they plan to add to the catalog over the next by the end of the year. Does this intrigue you at all?
Not really. Honestly, I'm not a mobile fan. I don't
Yeah.
play mobile games, and so like Netflix, I don't see myself wanting to play it. And honestly, I think I I don't think it's going to bring their consumers in. That's the thing. Netflix is like it feels like they're trying to rely on this crutch to really help maybe save them, and it's not. It's not going to do it.
Yeah, I'm really confused on what's going on with Netflix because like when they just cut their animation, like they want to cut back on like animated stuff, and I'm just like, but anime is super popular right now. It's like one of the high
Hmm.
points in entertainment. Why would you cut that? Like it's clearly like they don't have an idea of what's going on. Like they look
Hmm.
at they look at dollars, they look at dollar signs, and that's why they want to get in the mobile market because yeah, the mobile market's huge and it makes generates billions of dollars. But you gotta
But you got to do it right.
yeah, you gotta do it right, and you gotta have good content coming out. But Relic, whatever this shit is, Relic Hunters Rebels does not excite me. This game looks like it's for a 4-year-old, and I wouldn't want to play
Hmm.
it.
No, I agree. It just it's uneventful. And honestly, as we said, Netflix is like, we're gonna have 100 games on catalog, I think, at this point, and it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, for sure. But moving on to some better news here, honestly, with some bad news. Xbox, we love to cover Xbox stuff, and Fortnite is being added to Xbox Cloud Gaming. So, what that means is that you are able to play it on like Xbox.com/play and stuff like that, or on the cloud on any device, and it's pretty cool because you don't need to install the game, and you don't need a subscription required. So no Game Pass, no Xbox Gold. You can play it, and basically this is Epic working a deal out with Xbox to get this game back into the hands of like iPhone users and iPad users because you can play this
Mhm.
on iOS devices, and this is huge. I mean, honestly, and I think this is going to be the first of many. I think we're going to see a lot more free to play games break this barrier to go on cloud, and you don't need a subscription to play it. Like it's free to play. I shouldn't need Xbox Gold to play it, and all that other stuff. So it's pretty cool to see this.
No, yeah, I definitely. I'm excited to see more games coming to the cloud all the time because it helps for people who sometimes can't play on things. Like now students can play on their crappy laptops, and not have to worry about, nuking their legs. It's just such an interesting thing. Like if I had cloud gaming before I actually had a legit gaming desktop, I don't think I'd be building a gaming desktop if cloud gaming was a thing.
Right, and if it was like really good too, like obviously it has its issues with like latency and if you don't have good internet connection and that whole the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards. But the cloud gaming is here and it's only going to get better from here on out, and I do think it is going to be the future of gaming.
No, I agree. It's definitely for new people getting into gaming. It is the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. Other Xbox news. Circling back here to talk about Halo Infinite, we can talk a little bit about the issues here. But one good thing I guess you would say is with season two coming out, even though it had a sloppy start and some bumps, they added Clippy, like the paper clip from back in the day on Windows
If
XP
you
or
don't know who
whatever.
Clippy is, you're
Yeah,
too young.
yeah. So I'm really surprised they added this to this because that I don't know like if like this game was clearly meant for our generation because like we know who Clippy is, but like the new kids are like, "What's Halo?" And then they're like, "Who's Clippy?" Like nobody's excited for that.
All I'm saying is if you don't know who Clippy is, you're too young to be playing this game.
Right.
Just
But
just being honest.
we could talk about some things I was listening in from the industry here. Is the developers were saying like they had to keep delaying stuff, and when that guy who was originally part of Bungie who helped make Halo, I forget the guy's name, he had to come back in and take over for Halo Infinite, and he had to reorganize everything. Like we were circling back to what we were talking about earlier, is the whole starts at the top, the leadership and the direction. They were being led the wrong way. They were super unorganized. It was just clunky. They were putting out shit projects, and this guy was like, look, we're going to take a step back, we're going to release good content now, we'll add some more stuff later. And that's why Forge and co-op are going to get delayed, but their highest priority is to get us co-op because they realize how fun this game could be playing it co-op, and it's just a classic feeling. But along with Forge, because they're not used to having a live service game, and they realize that hey, we can't release a new season every 6 months. We got to get this down to three, maybe 1.5, and for them to be able to get to that, they need to release Forge because Forge is really going to drive the community because there's going to be so much community-based content that gets created. Like back in the day when Halo 3 came out and it had Forge like that, you didn't need DLC. You had Forge and you could play whatever you want. You can download friends' files, game modes, and
It
just
would
have a
keep you
blast.
in the game. It
Right.
would keep you in the game without it's artificial content is the idea. And that's what's great. The user is creating their own content. So
Hmm.
without the user-driven content, it's all on the developers to keep our attention, and they're failing.
Yeah. And the thing is, they understand this, and they're working their butts off, and they know they had to worry about the health of their employees, which I like that because some companies will drive their employees into the ground. They'll work make them work crunch and 80 hour a week or whatever. And I'm happy to see this, but I think eventually they'll get ahead of this curve, especially with them bringing on a certain affinity to help them out with this
Hmm.
content. And I think Halo's here for the long run, and I think we're gonna see an upwards curve, like for them to do succeed from here on out.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, we're kind of waiting for Halo Infinite to become that game as a service and not just a game.
Right.
We want that content to keep us there. Like Valorant. Valorant releases a battle pass every 45 days, I think it is.
Yeah,
So
roughly. Yeah.
we're looking for that content to keep us engaged. Otherwise, there's no reason to play it because right now Halo is mostly sweaty people and the casual community isn't very big, it seems at times.
Right. I would love to get back into Halo. Like, I just wish I could play it more. I just need that.
Yeah,
I need
same.
that shooter that I can just pick up, play a couple matches, and get
Just a
off.
casual shooter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, Halo isn't that right now. It doesn't feel clean enough.
Right. But I'm excited to try that new Lone Wolf. It's kind of like a mini battle royale where you get 5 lives and there's still a last Spartan standing and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
and you go around and you pick up the drop pods that spawn in and whatnot. So it has its own take to it. So I'm actually curious to try it out.
Yeah. Well, you might not be able to take a look at the game if Microsoft continues the way they are. This week, we actually had Microsoft's biggest outage that they've ever had. Xbox went down. Microsoft services went down. If you were in a Game Pass game, your game stopped and crashed. That was it.
Yep.
I was actually playing the Gunk this week,
Hey,
and in the middle of it, it just froze and then crashed, and I was like,
what the
the
fuck?
fuck? This is going in the review. This game was so good until it crashed. And then I was like, wait, why can't I boot it? Did the gunk literally just break? No, Microsoft went down. Game Pass went down. Everything was down for them. So I was like, wait, I can't play any of my games. It was offline. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then I saw you posted an article about it, and you're like, it's the first time for everything.
Right. Because like Microsoft like has some service issues where it'll go down for like an hour or whatever and it's fixed, but like this was down for like almost 2 days, and I was really
Hmm.
surprised because like I was trying to play games as soon as I got home. I was trying to play Tunic, couldn't play it. I was like running around, and it would kick me out. And like, you must own this game to play it. And I'm like, wait, did I forget to update my game my like
Yeah.
payment information? Did it not take out? Do I not have Game Pass anymore right now? And then like I went right online, like when I sent you the xbox.com/status, that'll just tell you everything there, and it was like outage, 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 outage. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh
I
no.
was like, that sucks. I was like, cool, I'll just wait around. Literally, I waited like an
Yeah.
hour or so, and I was like, cool, let me try it again. Nope, still down. I was just like, oh shit.
This
Like,
is unusual.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
no,
is not normal.
it was definitely an interesting take, and like if let's just hope this was the first of not very many,
Right,
because if this is the first and the last, that'll be great. But if they start becoming more like Sony, this gives Sony a chance to redeem itself, maybe.
right.
But you know, one slip up doesn't mean it's going to be a trend.
No, yeah, for sure. I think Microsoft does really well. They have a great support system, and they just got a lot of people working for them too that can fix issues and look into it. So, I don't see this becoming an issue. I think they fixed it for sure.
Definitely. And so let's hop over to another studio here now. Take-Two has now 40 new games coming out between now and March 2024.
That's a lot of games.
Vic, that's a lot of games.
Yeah, and some of these I'm actually super excited for,
Like,
man. Like, I have a list here that I was looking at,
mhm,
and right now these are all confirmed games that are in development right now. So you got the Quarry, which seems really interesting.
mhm.
It's a spiritual successor to Until Dawn, which was a PlayStation exclusive in 2015. This one looks really creepy and just very out there, and I'm really it has me hooked. So it's definitely a game that I want to check out.
Mhm.
Marvel's Midnight Suns is supposed to be coming out. That's that XCOM style
Yeah.
game that we covered before. So that one looks pretty cool. I'm really excited for that. Kerbal Space Program 2. It's a sequel to the new spacecrafts, parts, buildings, and quality of life improvements. So there's just a bunch of improvements to that kind of game. Um, Tales from the Borderlands 2, which we talked about last week, that was just announced.
Yep.
2K NFL arcade game, so there's a new football game coming out, which is pretty cool, even though it's not going to be like a legitimate simulation. Which I think they got to find a way to incorporate another NFL game because Madden is stale and it's going to continue to stay stale if there's no competition. So
Yeah,
we'll see
no,
how that.
exactly. It's the sport game issue that we see across the board. Like, even soccer games, like we had one soccer game come out other than FIFA, and it flopped. So FIFA's just like, we are the champions.
Right. Next up is all the 2K sports games. So whether it's NBA, WWE, PGA Tour, all those ones. 31st Union multiplayer game. So this is a game that's in development. No official name for it yet. Um, it'll be interesting. It has some developers from Sledgehammer Games, like the original one when they made Dead Space. So that'll be pretty cool to see what they can come up with
Mhm.
there. Bioshock 4 is in development. Um, and then Die Gutty Fabric Story driven adventure game. So this is a Danish indie studio that has a game in the works. We obviously know that GTA 6 is in the works or whatever they want to call it. So Ken Levine's new game. It's a new developer. It's like a ghost kind of game. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. We do know
Mhm.
Max Payne 1 and 2 remakes are in the works. That was announced a couple weeks ago. Um, let's see here. There's a bunch of other like indie developed projects that were announced or in development. They don't have official names yet, but uh, to me that's pretty impressive lineup that they got coming out. I just hope that they're good quality games and not like the Ubisoft copy and paste. Let's put out a game, put a big name on it, and just hopefully it sells. Like I don't want that, and I don't think Take Two puts out bad games. They're just not over the top yet. Other than like GTA, like they're staples.
Yeah, I think GTA is probably the only game recently that like blew me away, GTA 5, and that was, 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
9, I think,
So,
or whatever
yeah.
it is. 2013, I think, was the official release date.
Yeah, so 9 years ago, man. It's been a while since I've really been blown away by Take-Two.
Well, you want to speak
So,
about blown away, though. This here came out of nowhere, and I wasn't expecting this,
mhm,
but I actually want to go off of why this might be happening as well. Embracer Group has officially acquired Eidos, Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix Montreal, along with their assets and IPs from Square Enix, and some of those consist of like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and then 50 plus other ones. This deal was worth $300 million, which is nothing compared to what all these other acquisitions that have been going on lately.
mhm.
Embracer Group will now have more than 14,000 employees, 10,000 game developers, 124 internal studios, 230 games in development, and 30 of them are AAA games, which we know Deus Ex is being revived and Tomb Raider.
Deus Ex.
Um, yeah, and Tomb Raider that's coming out with the Unreal Engine 5, which was recently announced. So we know two of the games that are coming.
Mhm.
This was big, and I'm very curious to wonder if these rumors are true that Square Enix was trying to sell off some of their property because they're trying to get bought up, and I think that they were too large. And if this rumor is true, Sony is potentially buying Square Enix. These are just some of the reports and rumors that are going around, and Square Enix had to dump off some of their stuff so Sony could acquire them with a reasonable deal. What's your take on
Mhm.
all this news?
Uh, it's going to be quite impressive because this is definitely kind of following along the lines of Microsoft leading the industry. Microsoft's out there buying a bunch of people up. So if you don't start pulling people up and buying these studios, Microsoft will, Sony will.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just another studio like Take-Two that's, they're trying to get a bunch of these things. I'm surprised that Square Enix, though, is selling some of its studios, like Square Enix Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why is Square Enix selling some of its studios as opposed to keeping a hold of them?
Yes, I'm very curious to see how this all plays out, and I'm just wondering if what I was just talking about is the reason why. But what's even crazier though to think about this, like I was listening to another podcast when they talked about this, and they said that Embracer Group actually owns about 850 IPs. I was just like, that's mind blowing. Like I don't think there's any other company that owns that many IPs, and obviously they can't put out 850 games, or even like even when they were talking about 100 or 230 games in development, like that's a lot of games that are in development already. So I'm very curious to see what they can do, any crossovers or new revivals, games that we haven't seen in 10, 20 years. Very curious to see how this
Mhm.
is all going to play out. I think Embracer Group's going to come out swinging here soon. I think they could clearly have their own event showcase and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So
definitely.
I'd be excited for them if they announce something like that.
Yeah, I would be too. Talking about these big studios and sort of AAA games here, Crisis 4. We actually found out who's going to be directing Crisis 4. The director, Matthias Angstorm, who's the director of Hitman 3, will be running the Crisis 4 direction.
Yeah, and I think this is pretty cool because Hitman 3 was a successful game at the beginning of last year, I think it was. I think that's when we were covering it, or it might have been this year. I can't remember at this point. But it
No,
had
it
a,
wasn't this year.
it was last
Hitman
year.
3 was last
Yeah,
year,
last year. That's right.
if not the year before.
Because it 87 Metacritic with a 7.4 user score. That's not bad, but it's one of the best ones, and it's been received really well overall by the community. So I'm excited to see them come, like him come over to, and help out with the directing of Crisis 4. Crisis is a franchise I've never played, and I would love to play the remastered trilogy, just so I can play Crisis 4 when it does drop.
hmm No, definitely. And next we've got The Day Before. The Day Before is a game we were talking about for a while here. We've mentioned once or twice. It is now switching to Unreal Engine 5, and because of the switch for the back engine, the game is now delayed until March 1st of 2023.
No, that's fine. It makes sense. Like I can only imagine it's going to take to transition all the assets from whatever engine that they're using
hmm
now to Unreal Engine 5, and then like fine tune everything, polish everything, and then just make sure the game is up and running. And I don't know like how far along it is, like how close it is to being finished in general, but for it to be delayed another year or so, yeah, go for it. Because this game looks pretty cool, and I'm all for this kind of game because it's like The Last of Us met the Division MMO
hmm
kind of game. Like I don't know, it looks pretty cool. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it because it definitely seems like a genre that isn't completely tapped into that sort of we either get sort of just like brain dead zombie games where you just run around and doing whatever, or we get like, you know, heavy story games. I don't think there's like a nice mix between just like fucking about and just doing whatever you want and like a really good story.
Right? Yeah. I can't think of any zombie games that does a good mix like Last of Us 2 or whatever. It's a great story, but like I don't know. It's though like it seems pretty brain dead with the zombies. We're like Back for Blood, really crazy ass zombies. Story, meh. Like you know what I mean. So like you said, that's definitely a great point there.
hmm No,
But
definitely. And so let's talk for a moment here, just more or less a just a funny note that we had. EVE Online. People always joke that EVE Online is just Microsoft Excel in space or spreadsheets in space. EVE Online is actually getting Microsoft Excel support so that you can run your Excel and tie it into EVE to do a lot of your data analytics that you want to do to run your company in EVE.
yeah, that's pretty cool, honestly. Like for them to implement that. I mean, Excel's very powerful, and for them, like Eve's been around a long time. I didn't realize since 2003 it's been around. So
hmm
for them to keep adding different features and support to that community that still love this game, it's only going to make their lives easier. Like whatever they need to track, this is going to be helpful. Like I couldn't imagine playing a game where I need Excel for, but hey, you have it, use it. Why not? It's cool.
Yeah, no, now I don't have to write my spreadsheets on the side whenever I want to figure stuff out or
Right.
when I want to look at and extrapolate data and play the stock market inside EVE Online. Now players can do it with Excel tie-ins, which is just silly to me, but sometimes games like that do that. I had an Excel spreadsheet when I played WoW just to make sure I was making money on stuff I was making.
Right. Hey. do
you know?
whatever you can when it makes sense. Another funny thing here is Harry Potter World, right? EA canceled an MMORPG long time ago when like Harry Potter first came out, like during like 2003, I think it was. Um, it was like when Harry Potter 2 might have been out, maybe 3, and they canceled it because they didn't think Harry Potter was going to succeed in the world. Like the brand and the name, they're like, yeah, Harry Potter, that's not going to be that big. Boy,
You know, we're
did
not
that.
going to make a movie for every book, and then she's going to continue writing other splash material, and then we're going to make movies for those, and then we're going to make other video games for the video games for video games.
Right.
Like, we're not going to go nuts. We're not going to be fangirled, fanboyed by everybody. We're not going to have thousands upon thousands of just teenagers writing smut about our stuff and being so totally engrossed in this.
No,
Never.
never. Boy, boy, were they wrong. And
Wrong.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's EA, so they probably would have fucked the game up anyway. But I mean, EA was good though back in those days. 2003, they were putting out good
Yeah.
content at that time. So who knows what we could have got? But I mean, at least we got a new Harry Potter, The Legacy of Hogwarts coming out. It's not necessarily an MMORPG. It's just a regular RPG, but it's pretty
It
cool.
genuinely looks good. You
Yeah.
know, it looks like the what the MMO could have looked like if it wasn't a single player game. You know,
Right.
this is going to be the single player version of it. You're going to be able to do crafting, you know, building housing, you know, your own house, your own little place to call your own,
Mhm.
you know, play within the world of Harry Potter. You know, it looks really good.
Yeah,
So
I'm excited for it.
I'm surprised EA missed this, but as we've said before, these decisions come from the top, and the top doesn't always know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right there, it's all about this. They have no idea about games half the time.
Exactly.
But
So,
one uh,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say last topic here on our game news. This one came out of left field, and I was really surprised. But a game called
Hmm.
Off the Grid was announced, and it's being made by the Director Nine, District Nine. And he teased it that it's a cyberpunk battle royale type of game. So there's not really too much details to go off of it. We've seen like a quick like clip, like I think it's like in engine or whatever. So it's nothing too crazy. But a cyberpunk battle royale, that's something that we don't really have,
Yeah.
and it might hit the market and run because it might be something different. Apparently, they have some different mechanics and stuff that they want to implement. So I'm all for it. You imagine like picking up different like cybernetics that you would upgrade yourself with while you're trying to survive in a battle royale like scenery. Like that's different.
Or what if you instead of battle royales how they are now, it's very much like a clustered city. You're fighting within skyscrapers and buildings as opposed to out in the open. You know, it's going to be who knows what we're going to get. But
Right.
I think it's definitely an interesting place to
And
put a game because it's definitely going to change the formula because most formulas lately are big, wide open spaces.
right. And if anybody who's ever watched District 9 has, it's one of those really weird ass fucking movies. It's a sci-fi movie, but it's one of those that you just gotta watch. It's an enjoyable movie. Neil Blumkamp is really good at directing movies, so definitely check it out. And apparently, there's a new movie coming out. I think that he has in the works, like a new district type of movie.
Mhm.
Um, definitely check it out for sure. But let's
Yeah.
move on here though to our gaming rumors. Not much going on here in the rumors other than what I talked about a little bit ago. A new Mafia game is reported that it's in development and it's supposed to be using Unreal Engine 5. Fair enough, makes sense. We haven't. I mean, if we got Saints Row coming back, GTA still stumbling, Mafia, I think it's picking the right time to come back into the.
Now, when we say Mafia, just for the community, do you mean Mafia the franchise or just a game in the Mafia the Roaring Twenties?
No, it's the actual game, like the franchise, like the
That's what
OG.
I thought. Yeah,
It's the revival of Mafia. Like we haven't had Mafia game in a while. I'm trying to look up here. When was the last time we had?
I think we had a turn-based strategy Mafia game in 2016, 2017, maybe,
Uh,
and it flopped.
okay,
It
well
flopped hard.
they had Mafia the Definitive Edition came out. They released 1, 2, and 3 in 2020. So now, actually reading this and looking at this makes sense. Like they remastered their old games because guess what, guys? We got a new one in the works. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that plays out.
definitely. So, any closing remarks here, Vic? You know, short episode this week. You know, not much is going on.
Yeah, I mean, it was an easy week. Hopefully, we got within obviously all the gaming events coming up next month. That we're gonna start seeing a lot of leaks, a lot of rumors, a lot of news coming out, and I'm excited to look forward to covering it for sure.
Yeah, definitely the 2 weeks before, I think we're gonna find a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
we're gonna find things that are actually gonna really I don't know if it's leaks as so as just accident,
Leaks.
accidental marketing,
Yeah.
We're definitely going to see a lot of information coming out that really is going to pique the interest of players to get them prepped and ready to go because once we hit these game events next month, we are definitely going to be into the actual gaming season of the year.
Yeah.
July, we're going to start seeing stuff, the early games coming out.
Hmm.
Then the contenders for game of the year are going to start coming out, and we're really going to see the bulk, the meat of this year's gaming sometime around September, I bet.
No, yeah, for sure. And what's crazy though is, as of right now, we don't really have a lot announced for holiday season this year, and I think we're about to get a ton of it dropped. They're going to be like, "Hey guys, coming out October, coming out November, December, all about to drop," and we're just like, "Oh shit, wasn't expecting this to come out," or "Oh damn, I didn't
Exactly.
think it was going to come out this soon." We're going to see a lot of games dropping.
No, definitely. So, thank you to everyone who joined us live. It's fun to communicate with chat. We didn't have anyone talking with us this evening, but you know, for all those who check us out on YouTube, thank you again. Remember to like and subscribe.
Yes, sir. Definitely appreciate everyone who did check us out. But as a reminder, our co-op streams is every Sunday. It starts at 12, runs until about 3, and of course we got a live episode of the Press Start podcast at 7 o'clock. But Roger, where can we find you, at, man?
So I'm at twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion. You can find that down below. You can also find I'm on Twitter. It's lunatic oblivion without a underscore.
Okay. And of course, you can check me out at Twitter at MrNeverChillin underscore. Xbox is XNeverSpaceChillin. Want a game party up, hit me up there. Facebook is Vic Brubacher. Question, concerns, you want to come on the show, hit me up on that. And then, of course, my Twitch is twitch.tv/MrNeverChillin for any like single player experiences. I haven't really been streaming. I've been trying to grind out some more games so I can get some reviews out for Shoot to Win. So definitely follow me on all those other platforms so you can check out my game reviews and blog posts for sure. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.